Hi, I'm Phil Keatley and this is Ronnie McDowell.
Hi there.
Together we teach sea survival through Kayak Argyll Bute, and we thought we'd share some ideas with you as to how we teach this on the west coast of Scotland.
So Phil, our context is that we've planned and prepared, but something's gone radically wrong. We probably need help, and we're going to look in some detail about what sea survival for kayakers means to us.
So sea survival for sea kayak is just about maximising the chances of survival, and that could be multiple capsizes due to the weather being much worse than we expected it to be. It could be damage to the boat or damage to ourselves, and we need to have strategies to get past that. Our issues we're going to face are drowning, exposure, and potential further injury. And the essence to it is, if we have the right knowledge and the right equipment, then we get the mindset right and the willpower to overcome the situation and maximise our chances of survival.
So we've planned and prepared, we're appropriately dressed, dry suits, all the kit, but in spite of our best efforts, we're in an emergency situation. We could be in the water beside the boat, we might be on the back deck, but whatever it is, rafted up, it's a bad place to be and we need help. What we practice for and practice is that we have a set response pattern that we have ingrained, if you like. So Phil's going to take us through that in a bit of detail.
That's right, Roddy. Well, we call that our firing sequence, which is just a term to talk about how we use the kit and equipment to maximum effect in a pre-planned and thought-through way. The first thing I'm going to do is I need to tether myself to the boat. And I'll use probably my tow line and I'll clip myself on to the deck line so I'm secured to the boat. And that gives me buoyancy, it makes me a bigger target for anybody that's searching for me, and it allows me to use any kit I've got with the boat. I do not want to become separated. Once I'm connected to the boat, I need to protect myself, and I'm concerned because in the temperate UK waters I've probably only got 10 minutes of actual dexterous use of my hands. So the first thing I'll do is pop on a pair of thin neoprene gloves that are going to keep my hands warm and make me able to be more dexterous for longer. I also need to protect the heat from my head, so I carry a wee bonnet inside my buoyancy aid to protect the heat from my head. So the first thing we need to do is now attract attention and get help to us, and my first port of call is going to be this, which is a personal locator beacon. This is a satellite device, it's GPS enabled, and this will transmit my position to the rescue services as soon as I initiate it. But the key things are where we put it and how we use it. So the antenna needs to remain upright. I'm going to place it on the front of my boat, and we use industrial Velcro so we can stick to the boat and be fastened to the boat. That allows me then to rotate the device so this aerial is pointing into the wind, maintaining it upright. I also make sure that the GPS antenna part, where I can, is facing south. So that's maximising the kit's potential.
Once we've set off the PLB and got it up and working, I'm going to deploy VHF and GPS. Before I put my Mayday call out, I want to be able to be very specific about my location. You can certainly do it from a map. In terms of the GPS, I want to make sure it's fired up, and I want to know my GPS well, where the backlight is and how to set the screen up with the lat long and grid reference in as large a typeface as possible, because it's quite difficult to read these when you're bouncing about in the water beside a boat. It may be that I've used a mobile phone. I carry both devices because best chance of a signal in any given situation. But once I've got my location from map or GPS, I'm going to put out a Mayday on the phone or on the VHF radio. What comes next in our sequence, Phil?
Regardless of whether we've got the signal from the Coast Guard, I want to draw attention to my problem in the water. So my next port of call could be to use a large parachute flare and fire that off straight away. I'll probably wait 5 minutes and fire the second one in case somebody didn't realise what it was. These are important still, and I think if every kayaker carried one of these, it would maximise the potential to be seen by these and draw attention to ourselves. Could be other passing vessels, could be rescue services, could be people on the shoreline even. Once they're fired, I then need to prepare myself to draw attention to where I am in the water if anyone's looking for me. So I'll get ready, perhaps my day and night flare, and certainly my waterproofed handheld flares, for which we've got an orange smoke for day and a red flare for night. And they'll be ready to fire in case I see something passing on the horizon. In addition to that, I'll probably set off this, which is my LED flare. And this sort of sits between the pinpoint and the drawing attention flares, but gives me 7 nautical miles of visibility with a 12-hour timeline, and it provides a big visual signal for my location. I'll also set off my strobe, make sure that's working, and I'm in a position now to draw attention to myself.
Yes, and certainly the LED flare that's been mentioned, the technology has certainly is marched on. Little waterproof container. It's actually a kid's I'm blowing bubbles soapy bubble container. It provides waterproofing for my pinpoint laser flare, and I've got it just sealed with some electrical tape, little tab hanging out to make it easy to get off. And the laser flare, I think, is again a great technological advance, because it's a very powerful way of alerting the incoming emergency services to your position that they can come in on. Great range in daylight or in low light conditions or at night, and fits in the buoyancy aid very, very well. Again, it's waterproof by manufacture, but also double waterproof because we spend a lot of time in the water practicing stuff and teaching, rescuing and rolling, etc. So that's why it's in I'm blowing bubbles container.
And of course, not everything has to be super high tech. All kayakers should be carrying a whistle, of course, and that can be used to draw attention to yourself, and even possibly the old-fashioned heliograph, which can make a real difference, particularly in daylight. Very useful. And lastly, in low-tech terms, we carry these, which is just a simple glow stick, which when you snap on a small tether and you spin, you can create a huge spinning disc. It's brilliant from the shore and can be done from a boat, and it creates a big disc that can be seen by helicopters in particular from an awfully long way out. Once that's done, draw attention to ourselves. We want to look after ourselves. We put a maximum amount of clothing, warm weather kit on, and we'll be looking then to eat and get as much sugar and look after blood sugars as we can, and water if we have it.
So our big message here is that whatever your choice of kit is, make those choices clearly and practice with the kit that you're going to use. Practice the sequence, have it pre-programmed, and the practice gives you a degree of control over a situation where you could become passive, and that would be much less likely to help you survive. Is that about where we're at, Phil?
It is. It's absolutely that. We've talked about having the knowledge and how to use the kit. We've talked about what equipment to have, and having that positive mindset that an active procedure is rehearsed gives you the willpower to survive, without doubt. That's kind of it. We hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're interested in anything further, then please contact us at Kayak Argyll Bute, or indeed one of the other International Sea Kayak Guiding Association training centres. The course itself is normally a one-day course, and we do half-day theory and a half-day practical in the water and on the beach. And we look at taking it much further, looking in real detail at the kit, and do a lot of work on building emergency shelters, hypothermic wraps, and looking after casualties and people on the shoreline as well. I hope you enjoyed watching. And
thanks from me as well for watching the video. If it's been of use, please feel free to use it in any way you wish with your paddle pals or your club. All the best and happy paddling.